Well, in school, especially in high school and junior high, I became like the artist of the high school. So I was always getting to do the art for murals in the school, or I was the kind of consultant as a child. I was 12 years old, and I'm telling the principal and everybody where to put the art, and I didn't know how I got this position. But it wasn't really. There was nothing in school that motivated me to do industrial design. What happened is, of those books sitting on the coffee table, there was a book by Raymond Loewy, and he is quite a famous, was one of the most famous 20th century industrial designers in America. He was French-American, and he worked for Nassau, and he designed a Coca-Cola bottle, and he designed branding for Lucky Strike cigarettes, so he went from micro to macro, this guy, and he designed and made refrigerators, Frigidaire. And I was impressed by this, and I was also quite impressed by the objects we had in the home. And my father would buy really nice things, very few things, because again, we weren't wealthy. But when he bought something, it was really nice. And he bought me a orange Braun alarm clock radio. So beside my bed was this bright orange plastic Radius, nice, clean, minimalist object. And I ended up loving that thing. And I had these white kind of blobular speakers, and I had that in my room, and that to me was the most beautiful object. And I loved music, so the combination of like listening and looking at a beautiful thing, I wanted to make products. And I loved plastic, and I loved soft things. And they just seemed, I don't even know where that came from. They just seemed so human to me. So like they connected with my body and my mind, and and there was a calming effect to have those kind of objects in my environment. And I think some of the furniture my dad did had the same kind of thing, And I remember he designed the couch in the living room where he made the fabric, the cushions turn inside out. So in the winter, the color was more of a wintry color. In the summer, it was much more of a minty spring color, So he would do these things, and it would make me very conscious of physical objects and things. And I think that's what motivated the industrial design part. But at the same time, when I was going to university and deciding where to go, my brother and I both decided we would go study architecture. And there were at that time you applied for 3 schools, and you prioritized. And I applied for 3 schools, but I applied very late because I was hesitant, because I was torn between doing fine art, fashion design, or architecture. I wasn't really sure. The profession of industrial design, it was existing, but very few people knew about it. It was, and there were very few schools. And Carleton in Canada was the only school, and it was only in its 2nd year program. So it was very new even, and it was part of the engineering department. So by the time I applied for architecture at Carleton, it was August, and they wrote me a letter saying, my brother got accepted, he applied earlier. I sent me a letter saying we could put you into industrial design in what they call architectural stream, which meant that maybe I can do 2 years of industrial design and then segue into architecture. And they told me that the first 2 years, most of the classes are architecture anyway, and engineering classes. So you don't really get into industrial design until the 3rd year. So I thought, great, this sounds great. And then when I got there, I realized I always thought that a lot of these products were designed by architects. Because, for example, the history of Italian design is all the designers were architects. So all the fashion designers like Gianfranco Ferré, Romeo Gigli, they're all architects, educated. The product design, coffee machines, Vespas, everything was done by architects. So I just assumed I had to study architecture in order to do industrial design. Does that make sense? So by fate, I kind of ended up where I wanted to be.